When Marvel relaunched their Ultimate Universe in 2023, I, like many others, was their day one for Ultimate Spider-Man. Because what's not to like? An older family man Peter Parker receiving his powers later in adulthood, written by none other than Jonathan Hickman, who, in case you didn't know, I am a fan of. Check out my short video covering his Secret Wars saga if you haven't already. It's my favorite thing I've ever made instead of going to therapy. I also ended up jumping on the X-Men train by Peach Momoko and another comic. I eventually lost interest in X-Men, and Spider-Man is turning out fine, but just not as amazing as I thought it would be. But that other comic I mentioned has been kicking ass, Deniz Camp's The Ultimates. The Ultimates has month after month turned out to be probably the best ongoing series from the Ultimate Universe, and although it hasn't officially concluded at the time of writing, it made me an instant fan of Camp, who I wasn't familiar with prior to that. The writing in the series has been phenomenal at fleshing out the maker's new dark world. From wonderful character development, tragic backstories, to tense overarching plots that sometimes, unfortunately, mirror the bleakness of real-life occurrences, it's easily my favorite ongoing Marvel series at the moment, and I hope Camp sticks the landing as this iteration of the Ultimate Universe comes to a close later this year. Eventually, DC announced that they would be launching their own line of alternate comics via the Absolute Universe. I'm a little embarrassed to say that I was initially a little doubtful of how good the initiative would be. Like many others, I kind of viewed it as them chasing after the modest success of Marvel's rebooted Ultimate Universe. And good God was I completely wrong, because they are completely knocking it off the park, with the fresh spin on their big three being some of the most enjoyable takes in a very, very long time. We have a more naive Superman fighting against the true evil of the world that is capitalism, while wearing a cool-ass nanoparticle cape. We also have a more resource-strapped Batman who is, stuck fighting Dark Souls bosses or something and suffering every waking minute of his life. And we have what is probably my favorite iteration of Wonder Woman, just full stop. Her being a warrior witch just feels so right that I wish Absolute Diana was mainline canon. Kelly Thompson is a superstar writer and she just gets her. But as much praise as I can give DC's Absolute Trinity, there is one comic that, in my opinion, is in a league of its own. Camp's Absolute Martian Manhunter. I stay awake all night, trying not to think of the smoke, of what's waiting for me in it. Have you ever tried not to think of something? It's all you can think of. Now, I want to preface this by saying that it's not just Camp putting in some major work. The artist Javier Rodriguez is also doing a phenomenal job in tandem with him. The writing and art of Absolute Martian Manhunter are so tightly intertwined that it's impossible to imagine it any differently. While artists might occasionally change on a book due to scheduling conflicts and the like, as seen in Absolute Wonder Woman, I am literally unable to imagine a different artist on Absolute Martian Manhunter. Maybe Jack Kirby if you're still around. Now, I'm not going to spoil the plot of the book at all because you should definitely go into it knowing as little as possible and prepare to have your mind warped. But I want to talk about one aspect of the book that really sells it for me. The book forces you to interact with it beyond just reading. There are moments where it cleverly makes use of its physical medium and asks you to hold the page up to the light, which ends up transforming it, introducing a new level of immersion to the reading experience. And these aren't mere gimmicks as they serve a narrative purpose. It's the closest thing to having a GIF or perhaps even a game in your comic book. And that example isn't the only form of interaction the comic pulls the reader into. While I do like the convenience of digital comics sometimes, man, there's nothing quite like a physical comic that lets creativity shine through. Now, I'm not pretending like this is the first comic book to play around with its medium. We have plenty of examples of comics that go out of their way to be creative. It's just that when coupled with the phenomenal writing and art, it's the perfect topping on an already delicious sundae. In my opinion, Absolute Martian Manhunter is easily one of the best ongoing comics at the moment, and I highly encourage anyone to give it a shot. It doesn't even really matter if you're familiar with Martian Manhunter as a character either. I truly hope it wins an Eisner because it's really something else. So that's what? 2 for 2 in terms of fantastic comics written by Camp so far, and 1 from Marvel and 1 from DC. So I of course had to check out what else he's working on, which brings me to his Image Comics story, Assorted Crisis Events. Next day or next week, it's impossible to say which. I wake up to a fascist nightmare, but I still gotta go to work. So this book is an anthology, with each issue centered on a different character set in a world where time is, for lack of a better word, absolutely fucked. What initially comes off as sounding like a fun sci-fi quantum leapish romp quickly proves itself to be something else entirely. This book is depressing, it's heartbreaking and harrowing, and I love it so much. The anthological nature of the story really works in favor of Camp, allowing him to show off just how talented a writer he really is in several completely different scenarios. And don't let the sci-fi premise of it all fool you. Just like his other comics, these are stories rooted in real-world themes like human mobility, trauma, and more. The book also possesses some of the fun, creative, and interactive quirks present in his Martian Manhunter run as well. At one point, I found myself constantly rotating the book in order to continue reading. And it's not just the interiors that make the comic special. Issue 8 goes the extra mile by being printed on newsprint, which is just so cool. It's also thematically appropriate. Like I said, these are never just gimmicks. They all serve a purpose. So yeah, that's an ongoing comic each from Marvel, DC, and Image that Camp is working on right now. And they are each stellar in their own way. The current output from him and his team is nothing short of extraordinary, which is why, in my opinion, he's one of the best out there at the moment. I will gladly read anything he works on from now on. In fact, at the time of recording, his new book Bleeding Hearts just came out. And you know what? I'm here for it on day one.